Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Elhan, and today I will share with you an interpreter in action video. Unlike the other interpreter in action videos that I've shared before on my channel, go back and see them if you haven't. This is a simultaneous interpreting session, and it's a conference that I attended. Luckily, maybe it was a smaller scale conference, especially for me as a beginner. This was my first time doing simultaneous interpreting. And because there was no interpreter's booth, I had to create my own booth. And one of the advantages for this video is that you will be able to hear both the speaker and myself. So let's dive into it. This video will be a little bit longer. There will be real life samples for you, as I said, behind the scenes for the ones who stay until the very end, some of the funny glitches. And the most tips I will share with you will be at the beginning. So if you don't want to watch the interpreter in action section of it, especially if you're not an Arabic speaker, because the conference was Arabic English. So most of the people who will benefit from the interpreter in action part are those who speak Arabic. But if you are an interpreter who speaks other languages, you can still benefit from the tips that I will share at the beginning of the video. After I share those tips, we will go to the interpreter in action part. Have your notebook ready with you, take notes, tell me where I could improve. I'm always open to that. Okay, so let's move on to the next slide. One of the things that interpreters need to do, simultaneous interpreters especially, is to be prepared. And preparation starts long before the actual event, which was the conference. One of the things I did to make sure that I was prepared was contact the organizers, ask them to share with me any handouts, any PowerPoint presentations, anything they had from the speakers. Why that was important was because I needed to be familiar with the vocabulary that was going to be used. In the conference itself, the presenters sometimes changed the order of the slides. Some of them didn't share with me the slides, the notes that they have, they just shared the PowerPoint presentation. But what mattered was that I knew the majority of the vocabulary that I needed to know for this conference. Okay, so make sure you contact the organizers, ask them about any available handouts that they have. There are some preparations that are less talked about when it comes to interpreting. Most of the things that are focused on when it's an interpreting session is have your pen and paper ready. We will talk about it in the next slide. But there are some preparations that an interpreter needs to do that are less talked about. One of them is before the night of the event, or even a few days before, make sure you get a good night's sleep, be well rested. You need that to have your brain at its optimal level and perform at your best. On the day of the event, do not have heavy meals. If your stomach is so full, your body will be busy digesting the food. I'm not a medical professional in any way, but these are just some things that are common sense, I guess. If your body is busy digesting the food, blood will be in that part of the body and not where you need it to be most, which is this part. So make sure you have something very light. You know your body best. So if you need to consult your doctor about that, do that as well. Make sure you are well hydrated. Again, that there needs to be a balance here, right? You will be in a session, you know how long. In my case, it was an hour session every time. So I needed to be well hydrated, and I had my water bottle with me. We will see it in the next slide. But at the same time, make sure you don't drink a lot of fluids before your session because you might not be able to take a break when you need it. Another thing that you might or it might help you is you know you the best. See in your general life and other events that you've attended, what are some of the things that you can do to increase your focus? Some people like to drink coffee. Some people like to apply some essential oils on themselves. Some people like to meditate. Some people like to go for a run. See whatever helps you increase your focus and do that before the interpreting session starts. Let's move to the next slide. Okay, here you can see the booth that I created. There was no interpreter's booth. This image on the right is just a trifold, and I had it with me because it was the entrance. People would enter, and this was the first thing that they would see. They had to pass right in front of it to enter the main hall. So I was at the very corner and the very back of the hall, and I had that trifold, so it would prevent me from seeing people and it would prevent people from seeing me so that there was no distraction. The middle picture is where I'm sitting behind the trifold, and then right to my right side, there was a huge banner, and people could see the picture on the left with the program and what was happening during the day. And I was hidden behind that. So I kind of adjusted stuff, moved around stuff. Don't be shy to do that. Make sure where you're sitting is comfortable for you. The things that you need around you are there, and prepare that. Take action. This slide shows the little things I had with me that I knew would help me, and I think they will help most interpreters. Number one is the trifold we talked about. Number two is my water bottle or anything that would keep you hydrated. Number three is a few pens, extra pens that I had with me just in case the pen in my hand, that's number six, stopped working for any reason. Number four is my notebook. Number five was my phone, and I needed it because it was through an application on the phone that I was talking to the English speakers in the room. The conference was in Arabic. There were some English speakers that needed my interpreting. Number six is my pen that was in my hand. And number seven, my headphones. Many of you have asked me about this headset. I will share the link in the description below. It was a very good one in terms of canceling the noise, and also the mic is very sensitive, so I didn't have to speak up for the English speakers to hear me. And I needed actually to be very low in my voice because I was hearing the speaker live as they were speaking and I was interpreting. So these are some of the things that I needed right where I was and when I was interpreting. Okay, so here comes the video, the first video of me in action.
To build peaceful and safe هاي العملية المعهد بتولد مشاركين فعالين بغض النظر عن جنسياتهم وأقيادهم بيعملوا على إطلاق طاقاتهم الكامنة لتحقيق تطلعاتهم السامية مش بس تطلعاتهم هم كمان تطلعات السامية للمجتمع. وكل ما بيزيد العدد شفنا قديش عم بيحاولوا انهم يشتغلوا مع المجتمع ويكون عندهم مشاريع مشتركة مع المجتمع بس انه اي عمل مشترك مع المجتمع.
Okay, now we will move on to the next slide. Here you will notice me missing or not recalling specific terminology. In Arabic it is kept aswat al-i'tida. And what an interpreter does usually in these circumstances, especially in simultaneous, you don't have time to go and look it up. You just remain silent and move on. It's not the optimal thing to do, but it's better than interpreting it wrongly. Here we go.
بمؤسسات الدولة institutions of the country, institutions, political institutions, social institutions, economic institutions, even scientific institutions. We see that there is a lot of discrimination
لكن في المقابل بنشوف في تزايد وتعطش لرؤية قادرة على تجاوز هاي الصدوع والانقسامات والبحث عن مصدر.
Okay, next is a point that is part of the preparation that happens before attending the conference, which is familiarizing yourself with the quotes that are in the speeches, and if possible, have them ready with you. And you'll see in this instance that I will show you right now how I go back to the quote that I had already found in English and I'm just reading through it.
يمكن للناس إنهم يركزوا عليها قلوبهم وجهودهم. بتفضل حضرة بهاء الله، فلننشغل باحتياجات اليوم والتحدث بأمور الساعة. والتحدث بأمور الساعة. خلونا نركز جهودنا ونكثر أعمالنا مع الناس الخيرين اللي بيسعوا وبيأملوا إصلاح المجتمع.
An important point is not just find the codes, but know both of them. As you saw, I was able to locate the code right then and there. I had maybe there were 10 papers, A4 size papers for this particular talk, and I knew where this code was. So it's important to be able to locate it right away. This was towards the end of the first talk, and you can see the feeling of victory on my face towards the end.
اللي بيسعوا وبيأملوا إصلاح المجتمع ذوي النوايا الحسنة، نشاركهم بتجاربنا بكل تواضع وإخلاص، لأنه كل ما زاد عدد الناس متشبعين برؤية وحدة العالم الإنساني أتى بها حضرة بهاء الله، كلما استطعنا أن نحقق التطلعات السامية مش بس لمجتمعنا بل التطلعات السامية لأمتنا، وبذلك نستطيع أن نحقق القدر السامي أيضا للقدرة لأمريكا. فأي ضيق وشدة أشد من هذا يتساءل حضرة بهاء الله إذا أراد شخصا أن يطلب حقا أو يلتمس معرفة فلا يدري إلى من يذهب ومن يأخذ، فلا وقت له.
In this slide, we will see me interpreting a survey that was distributed to the participants. It would have helped had I asked for the actual Arabic survey so that I would do a sight translation instead of an interpreting. But I did what I could. You can watch it here. Also, another thing I discovered about myself after seeing this particular flip was that I was moving a lot. So maybe sometimes a fidget or something to keep your hands busy would help with some people who like to have something to do when they're talking. Here it is.
You can participate in the conference. The last point is, will you encourage your friends to come to the conference in the future? Next, evaluating the speakers and the programs. What's your opinion on the keynote speakers of the conference? Please take those yellow pads and write your notes. We have 2 keynote speakers and we have a few workshops. The workshops, if you have any suggestions about them. The group programs. What was your opinion about that? The evening programs and the arts, managing the arts programs. Did you like it yesterday and wait for today? The participation of those who are not Arab speakers. What was your favorite part of this conference? Whether it was the keynote speech or the activities or anything else. The third aspect is suggestions. What is your motivation of attending this conference? What are your suggestions for improving the conference in the coming years? Where would you like it to be held in the future? In Green Acre, in Chicago, or any other place? If you have any suggestions. All of your suggestions are welcomed. What are the obstacles that hold your friends from coming to the conference? And by friends we mean those who are members of the community. Yes, it is an Arab American conference, but there is interpretation. And the point of the interpretation is to invite our friends who are non-Arab speakers. So we would like to have more attendance. And of course, our friends from the wider society. Are there any topics that you would like us to address in the coming conferences? You can't imagine. This is the 13th conference. We would like, please help the committee in brainstorming any ideas for the future. Would you like to suggest any speakers for the coming years? This is a very good point, because those who speak Arabic are a lot, and they are in different parts, widespread. So if you know someone who have the capabilities and the experience to attend as speakers or workshop facilitators, that would be great. And the last thing, guess the last question. Who can guess the last question? Would you like to volunteer in next year's conference? Yes or no? If the answer is yes, what are the skills that you can offer for the areas in which you'd like to help? Thank you very much.
Okay, moving to the next slide. This was a challenging session for me because of the speed of the speaker. The speaker was faster than the previous speaker. Remember, this was my very first simultaneous interpreting task for the duration of the conference, which was 3 hours in total of interpreting for me, 1 hour a day. Go ahead and try to interpret this one, regardless of your language, because the audio of the speaker here will be louder than my voice. So you might be able to join in and give it a try to interpret. There was a point where I asked the English speakers who were listening to me to ask the speaker that was speaking to slow down. However, this didn't happen. No one, I think, I don't know, they were shy. Some of them were outside of the room, and no one asked the speaker to slow down. What do you suggest in this kind of a situation? Should I have insisted and repeated it in the microphone for the English speakers to ask the main speaker to slow down? Or I stayed quiet. This is what I did, and I tried my best. Now you watch and let me know.
احنا كل يوم الصبح نتجمع ونشرب القهوة، هذا هو طبيعة الحياة بهذه القرية. واحد منهم قال ليش ما احنا نبدا انه نبكي ونغني لما عملنا ندري، بركي انه هيك نجذب قلوب بعض العائلات تبدا انها تجي تعزف علينا. وهذا اللي صار. بلشت من عائلة واحدة الصبح وهي عم تشرب قهوة انها تدري بصوت عالي، عائلة ثانية انضمت إلها، وثاني يوم عائلة ثالثة انضمت إلها، وبعد هيك على مدار السنوات صار في تغيير جذري في الثقافة الكلية لهذه القرية، إنه كل يوم صاروا بيشربوا القهوة وبيدعوا مع بعض. وعلى مدار السنوات بطلت بس جلسة الدعاء الصبح، صاروا يشربوا القهوة ويدعوا مع بعض وبيتجاوبوا الأحاديث الهادفة وبيحاولوا من خلال الأحاديث الهادفة إنهم يحلوا مشاكل قريتهم وإنهم يدرسوا الكلمة الإلهية حتى إنهم يقدروا يلاقوا الحلول. فهاي القرية من قرية ممزقة إلى قرية تقوم
those
على
matters. So
الدعاء
it changed from
الجماعي
a
كل يوم
village that was
الصبح بعد فنجان
divided
القهوة
to a
وإلى
village
التفكير
that
بنمط حياة
drinks
إلى نمط
coffee
حياة
together in the
كامل
mornings, pray in
تغير
the
إلى
mornings,
هالقرية إنها
and
تتغير
think
من
about
بتوى لتلالة تصير
the
لتلالة قرية
betterment
السلام.
of their
إن
village.
شاء الله كلنا
So
بجهودنا
it
نقدر
became a
نعمل
village of
تلالة
peace.
في مناطقنا ونحولها من
I hope that
مناطق
all of us
فيها
are able
تفكير
to
منقسم للتفكير الموحد.
consecrate our efforts to
إن شاء الله
make
كلنا
our
نقدر
places,
إنه
our villages
نعمل
and
من هذا
cities
العمل
like
المحلي
Vitalaba.
للتغيير العالمي.
So
نقدر
change
نتخيل
starts
منازلنا بكل
from
أحيائنا
local
البسيطة
action
من
and
الفرد
has
فينا
a global
للأسرة.
effect.
عم نستضيف ببيوتنا دروس للأطفال.
When we have
نجتمع
children's
مع الشباب
classes
الناشئ
in
في الأحياء
our
تبعتنا.
homes, get
حلقات
together with the
دراسية في
juniors in our
المنازل وهيك
neighborhood,
شوي شوي
study circles in the
تنزاح
homes.
المفاهيم القديمة
This
وبيعاد
is
تشكيل
how we
الثقافة.
put aside the
بالتالي
old
الأحياء
ways
بتشكل
of
مدن
thinking, and
وهاي المدن هي
this is how
نقاط
neighborhoods
أنواع
will
محلية عمالها
constitute
بتشكل
cities.
مدينة وهاي المدينة
And
عم
the
بتشكل
city
بلد وهاي النماذج اللي عمالنا نعملها عمالها
becomes a whole
بتشكل
nation.
تروح برا هاي الحدود لحتى
And
انها
then this
تبدا نظام
nation's
عالمي.
culture moves.
Okay, I made a small mistake. Only those who speak Arabic will be able to try and interpret this because the speaker actually speaks Arabic. Okay, moving on to the next slide. Again, same session. You will see that the speed of the speaker remained my challenge in this session. Here we go.
هاي الحضارة
for
وما في
changes.
شيء اسمه
Anyone
من
who would
يرغب
like
شوي شوي رح نعرف
to
انه كلنا
join into
بإنسانيتنا
bringing about this
ما
whole
عندنا
civilization.
صراحة
Everyone, with our
الخيار
humanity, we don't have even the
انه
option
نمشي بالاتجاه المعاكس الموجه
walk in a
شوي ما عندنا
different way.
غير اتجاه
We
الوحده
have
لازم نتجه
one
له
way, and that
لانه
is unity.
اتجاه
The
الانقسام
other way,
ما
which
رح
is
يودينا لأي
division,
محل.
it's not going to take us anywhere.
فأول
So
نقطة
the first
هي
point
الكلمة
is
الإلهية اللي بتجمع
the word
الكل.
of
أكيد
God
هذا هو
that
واحد من أهم أدوات التغيير.
unifies.
الأداة الثانية هي التعلم
The
الجماعي
next one is
والثالثة هي
collective
ميدان
learning,
الخدمة
then is service,
وبناء القدرات.
and
All right, here also the same challenge remains, and I missed a few sentences.
بنية التحتية للعالم
it
الجديد
becomes part
اللي إحنا
of
كلنا بنطمح
building
إنه
this new
إحنا
world that we all
نصنع.
try to.
وبتصير نحن ما عمالنا نتساءل هون إنه وين النتائج؟ لأنه إحنا
we're not
نعرف إنه
saying
إحنا
what are
عمالنا
the
نبني
results.
حضارة وهاي الحضارة مش رح تيجي بالمؤتمر،
The
رح تيجي من عمل صغير لأنه
the
هي رح تيجي
civilization
أكيد
doesn't
بالقوة
start
الناعمة.
from
لأنه إحنا حاولنا
it
الحروب وما
starts
وصلنا
from
معنا للنتيجة وطلعنا بالصوت العالي وما عملنا نوصل للنتيجة لأنه ما عماله بمس قلب الإنسان. وهون أنا بغض الأمل إذا أنا عمالي بشوف النتيجة اليوم لأنه أنا بعرف إنه هذا العمل اللي أنا عم بقوم فيه اليوم أنا وعائلتي والعوائل ومجموعات العوائل بالحي والأحياء هي رؤية طويلة المدى. إحنا كلنا عندنا هذا النفس إنه إحنا نشتغل ونركض في السباق لأنه غيرنا رح يكمل هاي الرؤية لأنه هالرؤية خالدة وهالوجهة النظر منها وجهة نظر بتناسب اليوم هي وجهة نظر رح تناسب الأجيال القادمة.
is not just for today, it's for the next generations as well.
يمكن فكرة الخدمة فكرة حلوة. نقدر نشوف الفيديو مع بعض. هيك بس
It's a beautiful
إذا ما في صوت
concept.
خبروني.
I will play this video for you.
Okay, this was the last day. It was right before going to the airport. And you will see in this session, everyone was a little bit more relaxed. You will hear children's sounds in the background, and they were near me because I was at the very back. So enjoy.
We welcome you again. We hope that you have a good time. So a few reminders. The first topic, who still has a key to a door? We need to remember to leave it here before we leave. There are baskets everywhere. There's a basket here, and there's a basket in the other building. So please leave them there. The second topic, the surveys. Those who have filled out the surveys, they can give it to us right now. Those who haven't written it, we hope that by the end of the day you could write it and give it to us.
Okay, you also notice that the voice of the speaker was a little on the lower side, and I'll do something about it in the upcoming slides, so keep watching. This was a Q&A session on the very last day. And as I said, everyone was relaxed. There was a lot of distraction around me, so you see me close my eyes much more than I did in the previous 2 days. Here we go.
The world and in neighborhoods that are vibrating communities, and we see how it brings different generations together and how they reflect on the world of God and how they think about the improvement of their neighborhood and their town. So when they do an arts project together, it brings them closer to each other.
It's also important to note that because it was my very last session and I had some practice the previous 2 days, I was not as nervous. Even though there was some distraction, there was someone who entered and I smiled at them. There were children right in front of me. I would close my eyes to not have visual distraction and just focus on the sound, but I was still able to move through the interpreting despite the distraction. So this is a proof that practice is major and is very important in our work as interpreters. To the next slide. This is a longer segment of the questions and answers session. Here, I had forgotten to take my morning coffee and I really needed it. So I was putting extra effort to focus, but you judge how you think I did. Here we go.
What do you think that parents, the teachers, the educators, and also the institutions available do to cooperate together so that they would contribute to supporting the mental health of children? Also to help children adapt to the challenges that they're facing in their world. If you have any opinion about upcoming or future aspirations, that would be great. I think this question needs a presentation in itself. You've mentioned a number of things. The role of the parents at home is number one. How are the parents bringing up their children? You have mentioned an important point, which is predicting things and what could happen in a child's life, expecting what's happening in a child's life. And there is another method in education, which is reactiveness, which is I have a reaction to everything. So I wait that the child says his first bad word, and then I say, why would you say this word? How did you learn this? Or I wait for him to say things about what he watched on the internet, of something that his friend might have showed him, so that I would show him consequences. These are different methods of education. So by predicting things, I know that the child will go through this and will think like this or will act in a specific way. So I can prepare him for this time. For instance, your friends, my child is 8. She and her friends are gonna play Roblox. It's a very fun game and they don't have other activities and they are together. And so the child says, I'm playing with my friends, what's wrong? I learn new things and we are building. See what I've done. These are achievements to the child. So the child says, why can't I sit 5 hours on the iPad, I'm achieving something. By this, I know that my child is very excited about this. How would I think that, do I need to satisfy him and do what he wants, or think that there are alternatives? Is it bad completely if he is even 1 minute on the iPad, or that I could show him that you can enjoy it on the iPad, but there are also other activities that you can do. There are problems on the level of society that makes it difficult. For instance, the role of the parents are number one. The Western society doesn't allow the parents to be that involved in their children's lives, because they have to work for long hours of time. And the schedule of the child is to wake up. Maybe he will have time for breakfast with parents, and then he goes to school. When he comes back from school, parents are still not home from work. This is the reality of most families. If we want to fulfill our needs, we have to do these things. So these are challenges outside of the parents' control. So going back to prediction and reaction. So when I know that my child is going to go through these things, how do I prepare him? If I wait until something happens and then react, my child will notice. So he will say, I'm doing something either to please them or to upset them. And the reaction comes in a way of anxiety. Why have you said that? Why have you watched that? Why have you acted in this way? So this is a very high activity reaction. So my child then is afraid of the reaction rather than the action that he was doing. So this is a way, our pattern of thought that we need to have. I can give whole presentations about this. The unity of the family and the consultation in the family helps us a lot in all of this.
Okay, so here is another video for you to watch, just an interpreter in action.
Your experience with the people who come from a specific culture, and these people have a love for keeping their own heritage that they came with, and at the same time they would like to get involved with this new culture that they're in now. So how would you advise these people with this kind of pressure that they might be facing and their anxiety about this new place they're in? What you're asking, I think, is one of the most important things in the world that happens to new immigrants, especially if they have children. So there is this material civilization in this new country that they're in. A big percentage of these people who speak Arabic in where I live in Ottawa, they are out of wars, they're out of difficult situations. They're happy that they're here, but at the same time, they have new fears. Like, what will my son do? We have seen in Ottawa last year, for instance, protests every single week, every weekend. The schools had them. there are thoughts against specific beliefs. There are things that parents think their children shouldn't be learning in school. So now they are so scared that they are going out on the streets to express that, and these are things they're not used to in their own countries in the Middle East. So this shows the size of the problem. Also the issue of now I have the freedom to express, but I don't know how to express. The method in which I'm expressing my fears should be peaceful, legal, in a way that allows people to listen to me. There is a huge learning process that I'm seeing in Ottawa, that in the beginning there was anger, yelling every week after week. I think that we have seen the difference, even though there are different people, but they're getting to know that I need to talk in a specific way. I need to see what the law is saying what. I need to see who I'm talking to. It doesn't make any sense talking to everyone just to take it out. I need to know who needs to hear my voice. How to defend my thoughts. Yes, the law allows me to express my thoughts and fears, but I need to know what are the ways in this country to express myself legally. So these are the things that we are trying to talk about with the parents. Yes, it's your right to keep your values and your identity and transfer it to your child, but also we need to know how to do that, and that they shouldn't be feeling animosity about anyone in this new place. And he's not meaning to attack your identity. He's just trying to preserve his own identity. So you also, as the person who's been here, can say, no, this is my way, and that's your way. Express our thoughts in a peaceful way, positive way.
So you see that I'm looking in a specific direction and I'm really leaning towards that wooden part because there was a very small area open between that white banner that I showed you at the beginning and the wall. I didn't want people to be able to see me, but I wanted to have a small area so that I could see the speaker because that still helps me when I see them speak and interpret. Another interpreted action, no comments here.
About individuals and how the individual has an important role to start this nucleus and this change he wants to see in his society. But if we think that about our reality, we see that there are many challenges and obstacles. Some of these obstacles could be the lack of resources, or there's no accompaniment, or they're just tired and they cannot see the opportunities that are available to them. So from their experiences, what are some of the obstacles that an individual can face, but they can also overcome to take the first step? I can say that the first step is that I am thinking in this way. And to think that I am an individual, I will wait for the institutions to tell me what to do. This is a main problem, that I do not see the power that I have as an individual to be able to take initiative, and that to have this old mentality that I'm waiting for someone to give me a task and then I would rise. But now we are learning that the initiatives start from individuals, and then I can, if I think that I need, like I can just consult with the institutions in a team or with groups were in our community. But at the start, we need to change our way of thinking that the individual cannot do.
I also think that I wasn't able to see some of the speakers in this Q&A session because they were all over the stage and some of them were hidden behind the banner that was in front of me. Next.
But if there is this the spirit of understanding, and I go back to the tools of the framework, walking the path of service is at different paces. This concept in itself makes people not have expectations that everyone needs to work at the same pace. Any initiative, any effort from any individual is based on that person's conditions or life conditions, and that they're welcome to participate.
Here, the speaker's voice was low. I wanted to ask them to speak up. This time I took initiative personally to tell the speaker to speak up. So you see, I'm busy interpreting. Suddenly I can't hear properly. So I need to focus on listening in addition to interpreting. That's why it was a distraction in itself that the speaker's voice was low or that the audio was not getting to me clearly. So have a look.
One of the things he doesn't love is starting something and not finishing it. Everyone with his own energy, and nothing is better than anything. We shouldn't say this is a good action, this is not a good action, this is important, this is not important. When Abdul Baha was building, when there was a woman who gave a very small thing or a stone to Abdul Baha for the building of the House of Worship in Chicago, that was an important one and became the cornerstone. So, I don't know, there are people, there are angels, and we have to depend on God, and we have to trust that there are other capacities that will help us. For instance, for me, agriculture is one of the hardest things, and I'm in that field, and heat, and it's difficult, but perseverance is one of the important qualities to.
I'm really not satisfied with my interpreting in this particular part because I feel I'm not even making much sense in English. I was trying to make sure I am listening properly and understanding what the other person's saying, not because of the language, but because of the quality of the sound. Next, just enjoy watching and evaluate me and practice.
To believe in. When we talk about agriculture, service to society, spiritual education of children, everyone agrees on that. My neighbor, if I knocked on her door and asked her to have coffee with her and told her about my fears and what I think about the future and what I care about for my neighborhood, I will see that she herself does the same fears, the same needs, the same aspirations for a better future. And by talking to her, we will see that most of the solutions.
Okay, next.
Before I see the parents, I see that you have done these things, it's your responsibility as a teacher, but when we meet, all these things go away. Why? Because we've never had a discourse with them. So the parents have this kind of attitude, and the teachers expect this attitude. My wife Nora would always say that when she would go to parents' meetings, I don't care about, don't ask about mathematics and science. Tell me about her behavior. Does she respect the teachers? Is she good with the rest of the students? And when we talk about this issues with the teachers, then it means that the parents and the teachers have the same goal. What Faris says,
it's very helpful. He has a pure heart.
so the teacher says, your child is very kind, and then starts. Yeah. Every time I go and interpret, and not just one school, all the schools. So once I asked the teachers, can you give me an example when you say you have a pure heart? What does it mean? The teacher didn't know, because she just memorized this, that she has to start positive and then move on to the negative. So I didn't want to embarrass her. When we finished, I told her, if you have mentioned 2 examples of some of the things you have seen, that those families would trust you and their upbringing to the children.
I wasn't prepared for that question.
And she said, yeah, I wasn't prepared for that question.
It's very important to get accustomed to the vocabulary used by the speakers in that particular event. As you might have noticed, this was a conference organized by the Baha'i community, the Arabs in the Baha'i community there. However, any interpreter interpreting for that conference needed to have gotten accustomed to that vocabulary. It can be applied to any other domain or area or faith that exists in the world. So here is a clip that shows some of those vocabularies used.
In our presentation, we've talked about the crises in the world, that we can face those crises with strong thoughts and with a vision to inspire change. How can we, in this conference, take part in these changes in our society? I know Flora mentioned some of the ways, but I'd like to discover some more with you. I wasn't the one who said that crisis. It was the social philosopher in Oxford who has presented that thought. But when I was researching and read his book, it was a very attractive point. Why? Because I saw the connection between what the Baha'is and their friends are doing to build vibrant communities. This is a model that the world is missing. And everyone wants to be living in peace and hope and love and still keep their identity, their beliefs, their values, their worship styles, but they don't know how to. So these models, if they increase around the world and people are aware, become aware of it and see them, then they say, oh, we have this model. There is a possibility of getting to it. In a conversation with a friend, there was a friend, I don't remember the name of the author, he's a famous one in the US. He said that this person is not a registered Baha'i, but he said now now I have hope in the future of the world for initiatives of the Baha'is that are doing. The initiatives that the Baha'is are doing. And he has considered himself a Baha'i, even though he's not a registered Baha'i. So there are many people who are pure-hearted and have good intentions, and we need to share with them the framework that Baha'u'llah has brought, the vision that Baha'u'llah has brought. And in the past 30 years, we have built a way of talking, a dialogue. The more we've done that, we do that, we will make this model that the world is looking for stronger.
Okay, so this is the last slide, and it's a bonus for those who have stayed till the very end. It's a part of the Q&A session, but right before they started the Q&A session, they asked those who participated in a poetry session the previous day to come and present their poems. And the first person who came up and said their poem, I just froze. And this is what you will see in this clip. And then I stopped the video right after. For the few poems that came after, I interpreted the meaning and the gist of the poems, but I did not record it, unfortunately. So here is the me freezing moment part, whatever you want to call it. Have a look at it and know that things like this happen. And I just remained silent. I told the English speakers this is literary and I'm not experienced in that. I don't know what to do. So here you go.
Piece of poetry last night and would like to share it with us.
Wow. We don't have the whole day.
تفرقنا فذابت في الجراح قلوبنا وضاع الحلم بين الوهم وانطفأ السمع.
This is very
فلو أننا
literary.
نسجنا الحب جسرا بيننا لزرعنا العدل في الأرواح وازدهر الدنا. أيا قلبي تمسك بالحياة وبالرجاء فبعد الليل إشراق وبعد اليأس هنا.
It's about love and justice and
هاي واحدة من نتائج مؤتمراتنا عم نخلق مواهب جديدة.
This is the result of our conferences. We're creating new talents.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for being with me throughout this presentation and the interpreter in action. Hope you enjoyed it and looking forward to your comments in the comments section below. I might do a draw and select a comment from your comments in the comment section below and gift you a one-on-one session with me for half an hour for free for you to ask any questions you have and basically grab my brain and experience in the interpreting field. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if this is the type of content that you would like to keep seeing. And see you in the next video.